The drama surrounding that courtside exchange between a teenager in purple and gold and the game's undisputed monarch has been replayed a million times, flattened into a meme of mentorship. The apprentice leaning in, the master whispering a secret. It looks like a benediction. It feels like a prophecy. But the full story is messier, louder, and far more electric than a still frame can hold. It is the night a 19-year-old Kobe Bryant walked into the United Center, into the house that dynasties built, and announced, without ceremony or permission, that the next great standard had already arrived. This was December 17, 1997, deep in the Bulls' last dance as reigning overlords. Chicago had already put 5 banners in the rafters and was rumbling toward a 6th. Michael Jordan, still the axis of the sport, was stacking another scoring title, another MVP, another season of inevitability. The Lakers came in riding the league's best record, but they came in imperfect. Shaquille O'Neal was out. The starters would wobble. And somewhere on that bench sat a second-year guard who, despite his youth and a cautious coaching leash, was already moving like someone who'd seen the future and didn't plan to wait for it. Look at the raw accounting and it reads as routine Bulls brutality. Chicago 104, Los Angeles 83. But if you pull the camera closer, if you watch the minutes that actually mattered, the picture flips. Over nearly half an hour on the floor, the Lakers played the Bulls even with Bryant in the game. The damage lived elsewhere, with veterans buried in negative plus-minus and predictable fatigue. Jordan did Jordan things. 36 points on Silken Economy, a mid-range clinic spliced with ruthless drives. But in the other direction, something uncanny was happening. The kid was hitting back. Bryant didn't so much score 33 as he authored them, shot for shot, possession by possession, against the greatest one-on-one measuring stick the sport has ever produced. No Shaq to pull gravity. No starter's rhythm to massage him into the action. He checked in from the margins and proceeded to demand the middle. Footwork that already borrowed from a master's library. Elevation that made shot contests an afterthought. A jumper turned on by balance and nerve. Those 33 came on 12 of 20, not as a heat check, but as a thesis. I can hunt your spots. I can live at your angles. I can breathe at this altitude. That image of the two of them bent at half court, the elder explaining, the younger absorbing, is charming because it suggests the night's lesson was purely one way. But watch the tape and you can see the exchange was more complicated, more competitive, and somehow more respectful. Bryant was not petitioning for approval. He was mapping the contours of a standard he already planned to surpass in time. Jordan was not indulging a fan. He was cataloging an heir who insisted on arriving early. Between them was the sport's tightrope, the line where ambition meets validation, and for long stretches of that game, the kid never blinked. Context makes the audacity brighter. Bryant's sophomore year was a tug-of-war between flashes of inevitability and the modest realities of a deep roster with cautious rotations. He came off the bench in 78 of 79 appearances. His minutes were managed. His profile, outside of All-Star Weekend and a few scorching bursts, lived mostly under the radar of a league obsessed with established giants. And yet, within those constraints, the signs of something freakish kept bleeding through. He finished high in sixth-man voting. He climbed to third in team scoring despite playing far fewer minutes than the veterans above him. He was the rare teenager whose mistakes looked like rehearsals for greatness rather than reasons to yank him. That's why this night at the United Center matters beyond its box score. It wasn't a novelty duel or a cute anecdote about a future star's first brush with legend. It was a stress test against the sport's apex predator and an answer keyed in by a kid who had the audacity to seek out the hardest questions. Jordan scored, as he always did. But the teenager scored in ways that looked uncomfortably familiar. Pivot, fade, elevation, release. Enough to draw a half-smile and a note of professional curiosity from the only man whose approval mattered. In the years that followed, that curiosity would calcify into respect, then rivalry, then a kind of mirrored kinship. But here, in late 1997, it was simply, undeniably, a glimpse of the next silhouette. The temptation now is to reverse-engineer the myth, to say that playing next to Shaq hid what Kobe already was, or that staying in Charlotte would have unlocked a nightly scoring delirium from 18 onward, or that the Lakers somehow slowed what was inevitable. The truth is that everything about Kobe's ascent was sharpened by resistance. Restriction did not soften him. It hardened him. Sharing a stage with a volcano of a center and a city swarmed by expectations didn't blur his outline. It carved it. Nights like Chicago were not exceptions. They were breadcrumbs, scattered across his first years. pointing at how his game would stretch until it snapped the boundaries that tried to hold it. It's also easy to forget how personal his pursuit was. Bryant didn't want to be a star generally. He wanted to master the particular grammar of winning that Jordan had made non-negotiable. Ruthless footwork, precise patience, a taste for the possession that decides the night, a demand that every rep be a rehearsal for June. That's why this encounter resonates deeper than most young gun versus old lion reels. It's not just that Kobe could trade buckets with Michael at 19. It's that he understood what those buckets had to mean, how they had to land, how they had to bend the tenor of a game, and how relentlessly he would have to reproduce them for years until the rest of the sport acknowledged the mirror. From that December forward, the league had to hold two realities at once. The Bulls would complete their myth, raising a sixth banner before the lights dimmed on an era. And somewhere just behind, a teenager with a matching edge and a borrowed moveset was already drafting the next chapter. The Lakers would eventually hand him the keys. The numbers would swell. The accolades would follow in waves. Entire springs would be decided by the same footwork and nerve that got road-tested that winter night. But the tone of it, what made Kobe Bryant the closest spiritual echo the game will ever hear of Michael Jordan, was audible here, in a loss that didn't feel like a loss at all. So the iconic image endures. Two generational competitors bent over at half court, one explaining leverage with a craftsman's patience, the other absorbing it with a predator's focus. Freeze it, and you get a tutorial. Let it play, and you get a handoff. The young man wasn't asking for a shortcut. He was calibrating the bar he intended to clear. If this deep dive into the night a teenager went bucket for bucket with the sports monarch lit you up, let's keep the conversation going. Where do you rank that 1997 duel among Kobe's early statements? Does this game change how you view the Shaq made Kobe debate, or does it confirm the breadcrumbs were always there? And in your all-time list, how close does Bryant land to Jordan when you weigh skill, edge, and big game calculus?